6 decades ago, the Grimes sisters Barbara, 15, and Patricia, 12, blithely left home to watch heartthrob Elvis Presley in Love Me Tender at the Brighton Theater in Chicago. The tearjerker ended with Elvis's death in a shootout. The crowd filed out and the Grimes girls vanished. 25 excruciating days ticked by. "If someone is holding them, please let the girls call me," their mother, Loretta Grimes, pleaded in a January 11, 1957 Chicago Daily Tribune article. On January 22, 1957, their naked bodies were found in a field in a nearby suburb with no signs of fatal violence. The discovery horrified Chicagoans and the working-class Catholic neighborhood where the girls lived. With the public demanding answers, law enforcement went into overdrive, interviewing multiple suspects and filing charges, only to drop them for lack of proof as authorities feuded openly. Now, the notorious mystery is a footnote in the city's history, even though the case is still an open murder investigation, according to a spokesman for Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart's office, and the detectives continue to work on it as leads come in, according to Deputy Press Secretary Matthew Walberg. Like many 1950s Bobby Soxers, Barbara and Patricia adored Elvis Presley. They'd seen Love Me Tender 10 times, but begged their mother to let them catch the evening show at the local theater, just a short bus ride away. It was the Christmas holidays, December 28, 1956, and Loretta gave her permission. Barbara, a high school sophomore with a dazzling smile, was known as the serious one, and Patricia, or Petey, was a high-spirited 7th grader. The two sisters were also close friends, according to former neighbor Melanie Forgala. When the pair failed to return by midnight, Loretta Grimes called the police. As officers scoured the city, tips poured in. Workers at a Chicago 5 and dime store were positive they saw Barbara and Patricia with two sailors listening to Elvis records on January 3, 1957, according to the book Murder Gone Cold by Tamara Schaefer. A Minnesota woman who was traveling swore she met the sisters in a Nashville bus station restroom on January 9, 1957. That account made headlines, spurring rumors the girls were headed to Memphis, Presley's home. The singer himself issued a statement saying, "If you are good Presley fans, you'll go home and ease your mother's worries." Loretta Grimes and her ex-husband Joseph insisted their daughters were in danger. "They are not the type of girls to run away," Loretta Grimes is quoted as saying in Murder Gone Cold. Chicagoan Dominic Pagaya, emeritus professor of history at Columbia College, was 7 years old when the sisters disappeared. "It was on everybody's mind," said Pagaya, who lived near the Grimes' neighborhood. He also said there were signs in the windows of stores saying, "Don't talk to strangers." On January 22, 1957, a passing motorist saw what looked like a mannequin off the bridge over Devil's Creek near Willow Springs, a southwest suburb. Authorities converged and found the girl's body, sprawled on the frozen ground. "I tried to tell police my daughters didn't run away, but they didn't listen to me," said Joseph Grimes. Patricia had several minor puncture wounds to her chest, possibly made by an ice pick, and Barbara's face had marks and bruises. Harry Gloss, the chief investigator for Cook County Coroner Walter McCarran, told reporters. A preliminary autopsy, however, indicated the girls died of exposure to freezing temperatures. The anticlimactic resolution, with no evidence of traumatic violence, amplified the mystery and renewed pressures on investigators. Again, the public chimed in with tips. This included a cabbie's description of seeing the sisters December 30, 1956, at a Skid Row diner located on Chicago's hardscrabble Madison Street with two men, one reportedly with sideburns like Elvis. Police pursuing the diner lead tracked down a young drifter named Edward Benny Bedwell from Tennessee. Bedwell, 21, was a former circus worker who had briefly served in the U.S. Air Force. He had jobs at a factory and as a dishwasher when detectives picked him up for questioning. After several days in custody, Bedwell signed a confession on January 27, 1957, admitting he killed Barbara and Patricia with an accomplice named Frank. As Bedwell told it, he and Frank met the girls at a Madison Street Tavern on January 7th. They spent a week together, shacking up at various hotels. But on January 13th, after the girls resisted the men's advances, Bedwell and Frank knocked them unconscious, then dumped the sisters in a ditch. "If I hadn't been drinking, I wouldn't have done what I'd done, and what I'd done I didn't do intentionally," he told the Chicago Daily Tribune. Loretta Grimes vehemently denied her daughters would carouse with disreputable men. Our girls come from a good home and were brought up in religious surroundings, she told the Chicago Daily Tribune. Almost immediately, holes started appearing in Bedwell's story. Medical experts concluded the girls died December 28, 1956, and Bedwell's factory time card provided an alibi for the night they disappeared. His defense attorney insisted Bedwell's confession was coerced. Bedwell was released from jail on bond in February 5, 1957, to the chagrin of Cook County Sheriff Joseph Lohman and Gloss, who believed he was responsible. According to Gloss's daughter, Renee Gloss Block, "I think it always bothered him. He was sure he had the right guy and didn't like letting him go." Then, on February 14, 1957, he took matters into his own hands. The larger-than-life, fedora-wearing tough son of a gun called a press conference at his family home, according to Gloss Block. Gloss insisted the girls could not have died on December 28th, and revealed lab results indicating Barbara had been SA'd. He knew and believed the girls were both SA'd, Gloss Block says. Harry Gloss contended McCarran covered up evidence in deference to Loretta and to keep the sisters' reputations intact. The coroner held his own press conference the next day and fired Gloss, who continued to investigate the case. After the Bedwell debacle, several suspects emerged, but nothing stuck. One was Charles Melquist, a suburbanite, found guilty in 1959 of murdering another girl, Bonnie Leigh Scott, 15. Her nude body was found November 1958 in a wooded area, a few miles from where the Grimes sisters died. Authorities questioned Melquist about Barbara and Patricia after police found a list of girls, including young women from the Grimes' neighborhood, at his apartment, but that was the extent of their inquiry. Ray Johnson, a former police officer and lecturer who writes the Chicago History Cop blog, thinks Melquist played a role in the crime, but was protected because of ties to the Chicago mob. "Somebody still doesn't want this case to be solved," Johnson said. "I know there's at least 3 people alive that know what happened that night." Another theory is that the sisters died after a liaison with teenage boys from a local gang who took them for a ride, then abandoned the two. A local man told police he saw Barbara talking with youths in a car as Patricia watched the night they went missing. One of the boys reportedly told Barbara, "You'll be sorry." Some years after the tragedy, Fergala ran into Loretta Grimes while shopping at a department store. Grimes recognized her and the two chatted. One of the first things Grimes said, "Did you hear about my girls?" She died in 1989, never knowing what happened. Thank you for making it all the way through the video. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button and comment down below. And until next time.